capacity to heal. And so, and it also has the capacity to give you the strength and courage to face all of these things. One thing that I'm reminded of today, last week I was helping a young woman, who was a Native woman, a victim of domestic violence, and she said to me, "Oh, him hitting me, that's normal." Violence being normal in our community, that is not normal. No one should ever have to say violence is normal, whether that be in the home or on the streets, whether you are Native, Black, other person of color or not. Violence does not belong in the home. And the way we start as Native people to heal from that is by embracing the prayers and the songs that allow us. My uncle once told me some years ago about the drum one night. He said, if you listen to the drum and you get in beat and in rhythm with that drum, he said, you start to feel the rhythm of our earth, the mother. And he said, allow the darkness to embrace you as you listen to the beating heart of your mother. That's what these songs do, and this is why these songs and prayers can be so healing, is they remind us of the relationship we have with each other and also with the land and the earth. So this is how we begin this healing from violence, and so I think Carl is ready. I'm going to do my best, Carl. Okay. So Carl's dance is the men's traditional, and I believe that's an Oglala dance, is it not?
Hechetu. Thank you. Tear it up, Carl.
Yeah,
Northern style.
People.
Hoka. Kuchula. No ducking and diving either.
They'd have to duck and dive.
That's a wrong tribe. That's him.
Yeah. So Carl's going to demonstrate that for us today. So thank you.
Give him a sneak up.
Yeah, sneak up, Carl. Poke.
Is it good?
I don't know. You look great. It says rotate your device.
We'll rotate it then. Other way.
Other way?
Thank you so much for letting my brother Ramon and I share our gift of song with all of you. And yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Carl. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a few speakers, and then they'll end with a few more dances and song. But we'll start with Catherine from the Confederate tribes of the Umatilla and the Nez Perce. Well, she'll correct me. So here's Catherine.
Taxkalawa inwas mewitalu inwas nimipu lexiu numu. Good evening. My English name is Catherine. I am Nez Perce, Kayu, and Cayuse. I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, and I now live here as a visitor in the homelands of the Goshu, Ute, and Eastern Shoshone peoples. I am honored to be here with you today to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. For me, it's Indigenous Peoples Day every day, as I'm sure a lot of us. Woohoo! But sometimes we don't get to be in community, so I'm grateful for that. And I'm honored to be here. I want to give thanks to the original stewards and caretakers of these stolen lands. Yeah, I want to give thanks to the organizers who put this event together and are continuing to do the work here. And I want to give thanks to the earth, the lands, the water, the animals and plant beings that care for us, that nurture us, that give us this life, these bodies, this spirit, and have come together today to bring us all here, to give us a beautiful day, a beautiful evening, these beautiful mountains. I'm so grateful to celebrate the ingenuity and beauty of our Indigenous existence. Despite 500 years of colonization, Indigenous people worldwide have been holding it down, protecting our communities, defending the land and our global climate. And on top of that, we've been building. We're building an Indigenous reality and future that rejects and moves beyond the colonial paradigms of capitalism, patriarchy, and white supremacy that have sought to destroy our people and planet. And we're here, yeah, boo patriarchy, and we're here to secure the future, for our future generations and to make our ancestors proud. We are doing the work to ensure that we are not only surviving, but that we thrive. And I want to celebrate and hold the power of our global Indigenous communities, the power of our dancers and our singers and our knowledge keepers and our wisdom holders that keep us grounded in this movement. It was so great to be here and to have all of this. I just moved here, and it's hard to be in a pandemic away from family, so I'm really grateful to be here today. And amidst this pandemic and the wildfires that were burning through my homelands and the political unrest that continues, I also want to hold space for our collective grief. I find that for myself, I'm experiencing all of these emotions at once: grief, sadness, frustration, deep joy and happiness. And in my community, we've been hit hard by the COVID pandemic in Oregon. And on top of the COVID pandemic, we have all these other epidemics and attacks on our communities that have been brought on by centuries of colonial policies and practices that continue to tear us away from our territories, from our lands, from ourselves and our spirit. I gotta take that. Specifically, the epidemic of missing, murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit relatives, which we're honoring today and continues to run rampant in our communities. I want to honor and remember and hold in my heart all of my loved ones who've experienced this violence and abuse and who were taken too soon. And unfortunately, this isn't only my story. This is a lot of other Indigenous women from the U.S. and around the world. The person who opened talked about how we're connected to our relatives in Central America and South America, and we know that this is an epidemic there too, and that we've heard these similar stories of our aunties and our sisters and our cousins and our mothers who have had to experience and endure this violence or who never came home. It is important that we listen to the stories and experiences of Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit relatives who are calling for action to protect Native peoples and dismantle the systems of colonization that continue to take our lives and treat our bodies as collateral. We are not collateral, we are sacred. And today we demand justice for missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, Two-Spirit relatives. We demand justice for Breonna Taylor, whose mural we sit at. We demand justice For all the women who've been harmed by the everyday violence of living in a capitalist, patriarchal, white supremacist world built by and for colonizers. Oh, this year has brought on a lot of deep sadness and grief, but also an upswell of power and hope. We are in a moment where we are birthing even a new way of being with each other and with the earth. And now is the time to keep pushing, to keep showing up and showing out for Indigenous sovereignty, immigrant rights, and Black liberation, to challenge each other, to push our grief and our frustration into this collective freedom and collective liberation that we know is possible if we keep pushing together. And so I just want to thank everyone who's been doing this work in this community for so long. I hope I get to join you after this day. And thank you to all of you for being here and listening. And thank you. Katsiaya.
Thank you, Catherine. Our next speaker is Michelle Brown with the Murdered Missing Indigenous Women Committee with Pandos.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. Like Moroni said, my name is Michelle Brown. I am Dinet Yat'e, everyone. And I am from the Water Comes Together clan. I serve as the chair for the Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women, Two Spirits and Relatives, Utah. If you're aware of the volunteer organization Pandos, we are part of that organization under its umbrella. And if you don't know who Pandos is, it is Peaceful Advocates for Native Dialogue and Organizing Support. We focus our efforts mostly on educating and amplifying the voices of Indigenous women and suppressed communities. I'm humbled to be with you guys tonight. I want to start with a land acknowledgement to the original stewards of the land we stand upon. It is the ancestral lands of the Goshute, Paiute, Shoshone, and Ute tribes. Thank you for having us. I want to stand here today also in solidarity to publicly say, Black Lives Matter. We stand with you. I'm grateful that the state of Utah passed the resolution in 2017 acknowledging Indigenous Peoples Day and giving honor to the inhabitants of this land. There's still so much work that needs to be done to dismantle the colonialism that has had the damage that colonialism has had on both the land and the people. One of the biggest hurdles I found in myself was simply identifying colonist thoughts and structures and where they lie. And make no mistake, it's designed to be that way. It's designed that you shouldn't even notice it nor question it. It is interwoven into the very fabric of our current society, and if we let it, it can warp the way that we see ourselves and we see our culture. I also want to echo what Moroni said earlier and give a little bit of a trigger warning for some of the subject matter, because October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Because of that, I want to acknowledge anyone here with us today who's experienced violence in any form or has a loved one who has as well. I want to be mindful and proactive and share some resources with you up front that you could contact free of charge if you need someone to talk to, and that is Strong Hearts Native Helpline. They are a national helpline and they are staffed by Native peoples. There's also the National Sexual Assault Hotline, and it is free and confidential, both are, and it is staffed 24/7. Find me if you need that resource or the number afterwards. You're not alone, and there are organizations here that are trained to listen and offer help and support. Like the speaker prior had said, we have a crisis in our nation that has crippled communities, destroyed our trust, and broken many hearts. Our Native sisters are being stolen, murdered, and discarded, and it's not okay. Native women are valuable, intelligent, and resilient. We need more proactive laws and methods to keep them safe and to ensure that Native women feel safe in their communities. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, murder is the third leading cause for death amongst American Indian and Alaska Native women, and that the rates of violence on reservations can sometimes be as high as up to 10 times the national average. And we must not also forget that our two-spirit relatives, men and boys, also face sexual and domestic violence. There need to be better systems in place to gather much needed data on how large that issue is for our Two-Spirit relatives. There is a consistent record of violence against Native peoples in North America. And I want to emphasize the importance that we all must understand that domestic violence within Native communities was not the norm, nor was it a tradition prior to colonialism. I had the honor of attending a virtual discussion last week with Native American lawyer, professor, and author Sarah Deer, and she spoke on her book, The Beginning and End of Rape, Confronting Sexual Violence in North America. Of course, she walked us through the long history of violence that exists and how we were abused in any way possible. Looking at what violence against Native American peoples looks like today, I saved a question for Sarah during the Q&A portion. I asked, in your expert opinion, what ways have you seen technology exacerbate the disproportionate violence on Native peoples? And what can Native peoples do to proactively protect themselves against violence and sexual violence? Her answer is that it's definitely an issue, and it's an issue that continues to develop as technology develops. So we have to be smarter and faster to be able to know what we have to do to protect ourselves and our families. One thing that she pointed out is that predators can be, of course, Native or non-Native, and offenders and victims can now be groomed to be exploited without even being geographically close to a perpetrator. In terms of how we as people can seek to protect ourselves, she advocates for comprehensive victim services and systems that make it safer for victims and survivors to come forward. She also advocates that we must look at tribal laws and make them stronger. If tribes are going to prosecute these cases, we need to have victim-centered laws. We must teach children about healthy relationships and about sexual abuse. Another prevention effort is accountability. When you have adults getting away with inflicting abuse and children seeing them getting away with it, it reinforces the thought that it might not be that bad. There has to be accountability in the effort to prevent crime. That brings me to intergenerational trauma, which is something that's very real. There was a time in my life where I thought that I was not affected by it, or if I was, very little, and that was not the case. I have experienced it firsthand, and I came from a home in which there was domestic abuse. It didn't happen every day, but when it did, the scenes, the sensations, and mostly the fear is unforgettable. I have a father who was taken to a boarding school near Farmington, New Mexico as a youth. It was there that he was beaten, that he was beaten also for speaking his violence or speaking his language or for practicing his traditions. He would tell us how many times he had run away and would either be found or forced to turn back with nowhere else to go. It's been very healing for me to imagine if I were in his shoes. If I had zero familiarity with gentle love, understanding, and parents to raise me. And let me make one thing clear. Domestic violence is not okay. It's never okay. What I experienced is not okay. And believe me, I will say that I struggled emotionally with sorting the feelings out in my heart. But now I recognize where the evil seeds of trauma had been planted and passed down until it eventually reached me. What Native peoples can do to combat this is look back at our history and look at who we are as people, no matter what tribe you come from, and start to identify traditional belief systems that are fair, that are healthy and honor your community, and that ultimately lead to healing. There's so much work to be done, and I would like to also talk about recent laws and changes in the laws that happened as soon as this weekend, and that was Representative Norma Torres' Savannah's Act and Representative Deb Haaland's Not Invisible Act. Those were signed into law this weekend, which are two huge steps in combating the crisis of murdered and missing Indigenous women. Here are some of the important points. In Savannah's Act, it improves tribal access to certain federal crime information databases and mandates the Attorney General and Interior Secretary to consult with tribes on how to further develop these databases and to access them. It requires also that the Justice, Interior, and Health and Human Services Department to solicit recommendations from tribes on enhancing the safety of Native American women and improving access to crime information databases. The Not Invisible Act creates an advisory committee on violent crime. The committee is made up of law enforcement, federal partners, service providers, and survivors that will be tasked with issuing recommendations to the U.S. Department of the Interior and the Department of Justice. I have great hopes that the recent changes of the law can become effective tools in seeking the justice that families all across this nation and beyond deserve. We must continue to spread that awareness and hold perpetrators accountable. Healing in this journey is very different for everyone. Invest time in yourself because you are important, every one of you. You're irreplaceable. Sit in spaces of natural beauty, which is not hard to do when you live in Utah. Mostly, I think that it's about time that we be honest with ourselves and have conversations with those who you love of your experiences, and if you need, a trained professional who can help you, because your experiences do matter. To our allies, all our non-Native allies, I just want to thank you guys all for your support and being here in solidarity with us. Together we are stronger. I also want to acknowledge a word to those who are rarely mentioned in some of these conversations, and it is to perpetrators who are perpetrating these acts of violence. Stop. Stop it. Even if it's today, stop. You may also need help and should seek it professionally. The memories that you leave with victims often last a lifetime. Seek help for your behavior and know that it is essential that you course correct. Thank you to all the organizers for this event and making it possible. And thank you for doing it safely in a time of a pandemic, so thank you for that. I also want to thank the Pandos Committee as well for their passion and their dedication. And also, as a note, to continue honoring Indigenous Peoples Day, Pandos will be hosting a virtual music festival starting at 7 p.m. on our Facebook group, and I would encourage you to check it out as well. And you guys, thank you so much for spending this evening here in solidarity with us. Thank you so much. It means the world.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Our next speaker is J.C. Begay.
Singati nat se J Shadapuganini, Karakawe Kapo Winge. Yat JC Begay, Shasanaka Pebble Nishla, but Ani Bashashi, Noda Dashache, Klizasana Dashanele. Hello, everybody. My name is JC Begay. I am Navajo and Santa Clara Pueblo. My Tewa name is Yellow Dancing Butterfly, and I'm the Pandos Princess. I wanted to just say thank you for coming here. It was last minute for me talking, so sorry, but I wanted to start off with just saying that it means so much that you guys are here to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, and that there is an Indigenous Peoples Day for us to celebrate. I was actually really nervous to come here because of my past experiences with showing to be a proud Indigenous woman. I've been bullied because people saw me as different. People were afraid of a proud Native woman. And sorry. I'm really thankful for everyone to show solidarity with us. Sorry.
Woo!
it's been hard to come up here and show these things, especially this year. We've had so many things come up with the pandemic and with the whole Black Lives Matter protests, and I feel like it's just so empowering to see everyone stand up for the missing and murdered Indigenous women, for the environment, for Black lives, for all these problems that are now being seen. I'm just very, very grateful. It's been hard this year for our family too. Recently my grandpa passed away. It's been almost a year. And I haven't really had time to mourn since this pandemic. And I feel like a bunch of you have felt this way as well. And I really am appreciative of this space and of everyone organizing this, just to have us mourn and pray for our missing and murdered Indigenous women, for the Black Lives Matter protests, for everyone that needs it. I just wanted to say thank you. I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope you guys learn more about these issues surrounding these marginalized communities. Thank you. Kuntawaha ahehe.
Woo!
Ahehe Shiyaja JC, thank you so much. These are our leaders of tomorrow. So let's show them how much she led us tonight. Woo! Thank you, JC. Before we end, we're going to end with Davina Smith, who works also with Restoring Ancestral Winds. What I want to say is, during this period, during this event and this day, we worked on Indigenous Peoples Day for a long time, and I know a lot of people worked on it for years, but I just happened to reap their work when we got the City of Salt Lake to pass a resolution making Indigenous Peoples Day a recurring event into perpetuity. And so, and that happened with a number of people here, so I want to thank them all for doing that. But also, in terms of this day and what it means for us, at least with Restoring Ancestral Winds, we are an organization that seeks to eliminate domestic violence, sexual assault, trafficking, stalking, all other manner of different types of intimate partner violence within the home. And one of the things that we find is once a person is able to trust a matriarchal system of healing, the darkness begins to lift. And that's what we're trying to do. Indigenous Peoples Day is about reclaiming our sense of resiliency, is reclaiming the strength that lies within the prayers of our ancestors, reclaiming the strength that lies within our own DNA. Indigenous Peoples Day is about a time when we liberate ourselves from all the enemies that would keep us from happiness. It is a day for us to eliminate all the threats in our community, including a system that seeks to wipe us out, a system that refuses to read us as human, a system that insists that we are disposable. When we heal, we are able to stand and say, no, we are human. We deserve to be loved. We deserve to be respected. This is what this day is about. This is what Indigenous liberation is all about. Reclaiming those lost relationships hurt and disrupted by police, by large corporations, by an entire ideology that tells us that we have been erased from history. We are not erased, brothers and sisters. We stand here tall, and we stand in the shadow and memory of the victims of violence that took our people away. We stand here with them as reminders to this system that we will not acquiesce, that we will reclaim our rights as Indigenous peoples, and that we will be the voice of our Mother Earth and Father Sky. And it all begins when we trust the women in our communities to help us heal. That is where the power is. I cannot be Navajo without my mother. Most Native people cannot be anything without the power of a maternal figure, whomever exhibits that. We need this to practice our matriarchal history in order to root out patriarchy. And that is how we do it, friends. I'm going to end this with Davina Smith, and then we'll have one or two more songs and dances.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Shirei Davina Smith. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a while since I've been out. I've been just cooped up in my home, but to be here is just amazing. This is my medicine right here. Everyone being here, listening to the songs. I was trying not to cry when Jacob was singing because it was so powerful, and to hear the drum beat. But also I want everyone, as Moroni was mentioning, we see these murals up here, painted up here, but then you see these figures down here. It is so tragic and injustice what's happening to them, but also I hope everyone recognizes, look at the unity this has brought together. And I want everyone to recognize and to move forward as we're talking about reclaiming also your power. Our power today, yes, today is Indigenous Peoples Day, but let's remember that today, yesterday, every day it is Indigenous Peoples Day. But the most powerful thing is our DNA. We would not be here if it wasn't not for our ancestors. And so I think today, moving forward, we talk about all forms of healing. We talk about our reclaiming our power, but also our women. As a mother, that's something that is so important to me. I have my 4 kids that I'm constantly worried about. I'm worried about our children, but I think as women, we need to continue and be there for each other. My family's not here, but I see so many familiar faces, and they're women. You all are my strength. I am so grateful that you all have come a part of my life. And so I will continue to be there for you and support you as well. And then also, I think one thing too is that I want to talk about the work I do. I'm a community engagement and trainer for Restoring Ancestral Winds. So most importantly is our MMIW, Two-Spirited Women Relatives. And we talk about that process. When I go out, I've learned so much as far as sex trafficking, domestic violence. I think the one important thing is that we talk about unity. I have to share this story because it took me some time to reflect on it and process it, because you just never know when it happens. And I did share it with Moroni, and I shared it with Danae, and that was not long ago. I went back home, and I was by myself. And I usually stop at a rest area so I can get some rest. But there was a rest area outside of Moab. I was so tired, so I went to get up. I need to wake up. I pulled off, and it was sun like this. It was still a little light. And there was trucks. There were semi-trucks. There was no cars. It was just me pulling up there. and I went to go to Lay's room and wake up. And as I was walking to my car, I saw two men walking, and I thought they were going to go to the restroom. And when I got into my vehicle, I looked in the rearview mirror. I noticed I didn't see them walking towards the facilities. And I saw one guy walking by my passenger side of the car. And immediately when I looked in my side mirror, the guy on the other side was ready to grab my handlebar, and I locked the door as quickly as I could. It happens just like that. What if I didn't lock the doors? I'd probably be one of these women right here. You know, you just never know. And it has taken me a long time to process. I have been quiet, and I have been just, usually you see me outgoing, you see me, speaking at occasion, but that took a lot. It has taken me some time to heal from that. And so I'm here today because it is so important. Everything that we do, every injustice that's happening, whether it's pushing to pass bills so we can be more outspoken in what's happening with our brothers, our Native brothers and sisters, what's happening with our Black brothers and sisters, what's happening with our Latinx community. Right now is the time we need to continue to work together so things like this will not happen, so we can stand up. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm so blessed to be among some amazing people, brothers and sisters. And I'm going to introduce Butch. He's going to be doing a prayer. But I want to talk about this man. Last year I did a run, a 330-mile journey run from Bears Ears to the Capitol. And he was saying, I don't know if I can run, but I'll come and watch. He was out there for a good, I want to say, most of the day with me, walking, because he had that medicine to come out. And I just want to thank him for being a part of this prayer run with us. So I'd like to bring him up here, and he could do a closing prayer.
home to your home fire, so just chill out. Thank you.